ESPN's own Paul Finebaum, in a recent interview with Rutgers Wire that was just released this morning, Wednesday, December 21st, says that the Big Ten will expand with Oregon and Washington likely topping the list, that the Big Ten will expand again. Welcome to episode 120 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please consider subscribing to our ever-growing channel. Share this video with your family and friends, and please smash that like button if you like our content. Now, the story about Oregon and Washington have been months in the making. If you've been following us here at Peek Around the Corner, we reported in July that the Big Ten was once again going to be going into the decision window between August 15th and October 15th. It was going to be a decision window of go or no go for launch for further expansion at this time. On October 12th, we reported that it was a no-go for launch, that the expansion button has been hit pause. The pause button had been hit. Now, today, this morning, been released by Rutgers Wire. In an interview with Rutgers Wire, Paul Finebaum says the Big Ten will expand again, with Oregon and Washington likely topping the list. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to the article. Christian Dyer, December 21st this morning. The Big Ten may have pressed the pause button on expansion. People are using our lingo now here at Peek Around the Corner. The Big Ten may have pressed the pause button on expansion. They did. But Paul Finebaum believes that it is only a matter of time until the conference moves and shake things up once again. Over the summer, the Big Ten went out and made the biggest splash of the college football expansion realignment race, adding USC and UCLA. Finebaum, an ESPN analyst and the nation's preeminent college football insider, sees a pause in the conference realignment craze, but he also believes that things are trending towards the Big Ten adding further programs. This was Paul Finebaum. His words, I think in time, having watched up close with the SEC with Oklahoma and Texas, these are very complicated moves. And I think you just can't take 4 or 5 at the same time because the schedules are intricate and difficult, Finebaum told Rutgers Wire in a recent interview. So I think once everything starts to shift and the landscape settles down a bit, I firmly believe that the Big Ten will continue the acquisition of more schools. I know that sounds crazy since we're talking about college football here, college sports, but I don't believe they're done yet. So yeah, I think there'll be big game hunting in a few years. It's not crazy, Paul Finebaum. We've been saying here at Peek Around the Corner that Kevin Warren's mission, his goal, was never to stop at 16 schools, was not to expand further, and not to leave, or UCLA and USC home on an island out in the Pacific Coast. His vision of what the Big Ten future will be at least grow out to 20 schools, and in doing that, not have just USC and UCLA home on an island out there in the Pacific Coast for traveling, for a whole bunch of different issues. In an episode 52, we had an episode here at Peek Around the Corner with Intel, with Oregon and Washington. We talked about how Oregon, if they couldn't get in now, they were going to keep swinging for the fences. They were willing to do anything to get into the Big Ten, including possibly expanding their bandwidth of sponsored sports. They also said, we were told in the Money Perch of Oregon, told to us, BTM and Associates, told to them, that Oregon and Washington would not sign a grant of rights that had any real teeth to them, that could keep them to the Pac-12 for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in the next Pac-12 media contract. We believe that is one of the holdups, that the Pac-12 have not been able yet to get a Pac-12 media deal done. Oregon and Washington reported independently by Brett McMurphy months ago that Oregon and Washington had preliminary talks with the Big Ten separately from each other at different times with the Big Ten. Now, this For those who have been following us at Peek Around the Corner, this should not be a surprise. But what the news is this morning is Paul Finebaum, an ESPN analyst, says he would not be surprised at all if further expansion happened. And he's not talking 5, 6, 7 years. He isn't. He's not talking that far along the road. Let's get back to the article. And this is what also Paul Finebaum says. I think Oregon and Washington are the two schools that would be the first to go. Yeah, I still think there's some movement left in the Big 12, so I don't think that affects the Big 10. The Big 10 can get who they want. I felt it for some time, Finebaum says. Kevin Warren's move was one of the smoothest I've seen in a long time in college sports. He used the professional model, which I think he would have every reason to, having spent time in the NFL, and in many ways, it was a masterful stroke. I'm going to say that again. Kevin Warren's move was one of the smoothest I've seen in a long time. He used a professional model, which I think he would have every reason to have, having spent time in the NFL, and in many ways, it was a masterful stroke. I'm going to say it in a different way. Kevin Warren is structuring the Big Ten in the NFL model. And the NFL model doesn't have just two schools, universities in the NFL, two franchises out in the West Coast with nobody being added with them. Kevin Warren is setting up the future Big Ten structure in an NFL model. CBS, NBC, Fox, how they're going to cross promote across each other's networks for Big Ten content. That is the NFL model. He's going to set up probably the future pods in the same way, NFL model. So it's not going to be just USC, UCLA, home on an island in the West Coast. People have asked me on our live show just a couple nights ago, do you see USC having a veto power over Big Ten, not extending an invitation to Washington and Oregon a few years down the road? My answer then was absolutely not. My answer now is, of course, absolutely not. Nobody has a veto power. Everybody has a vote. And everybody in the Big Ten knows Kevin Warren's vision. The vision is not to just have USC, UCLA home on an island on the Pacific Coast. That is not what's going to happen in the future in the Big Ten. Put down your comments in the comment section below the video. Agree with me, non-agree with me. But once again, we've put out this warning before. Oregon and Washington, don't sign anything with the Pac-12 that keeps you in the Pac-12 legally for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Don't sign that grant of rights. And I know that you won't sign a grant of rights with any teeth. That's the information we've been given. That's the information we've been putting out to all of you. Tonight, Wednesday night, December 21st, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Pacific PM. We're going to be doing a live show covering this. We've been on the phones this morning already. If you have been following us, you know that we've been talking about Washington and Oregon's going to keep swinging. There's a lot of stuff about cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. So join us if you have a chance. We're talking about National Signing Day as well tonight. National Signing Day. A lot of big movements today. Some flips. So again, tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Pacific, live show at Peek Around the Corner. This has been your episode 120. Paul Finebaum, ESPN. Oregon and Washington are the first two schools that would be first to go. Big Ten, not done shaking things up in the college football world. Until next time, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much.